All right, welcome to episode. I think it's number 32 of Wild Bills podcast. We were bouncing off an idea for a better name, but we'll finalize that as the days go by. Back here with my good friend Peyton. Peyton, how you doing? How's your holidays? How's your Christmas? As
It's
we,
great. It's great. It was great. I have a special guest here, little whiskey poo. Uh, my homie Will. He's a Commanders fan that we always aforemention on the pod. Dog sitting for him while he's in Tennessee doing his Jack Daniels work. But no, Christmas was good, bro. I got to go down to New Orleans. Well, first Christmas fell on a Wednesday, which always kind of sucks. But on that previous Sunday, I did time with my parents, and then on Christmas Eve, we flew into New Orleans to spend it with Victoria's family. So it was cool. It was quick in and out. We got back on the 26th. We got to go look at venues for our wedding. So that was
nice.
also nice. How was yours?
Mine was pretty good. Went back to Illinois. Supposed to go back with Fran. She had a family emergency. She had to stick back in California for. So
Hmm.
thankfully everything's fine. Just precautionary kind of things. So I went back with my family, ended up going to Milwaukee to see more family up there. Dude, great story. My layover on the way to Chicago, I stayed over in Vegas for 6 hours. Didn't stay in the airport, got out, went over to New York, New York, threw
Hmm.
$100 down on the blackjack table, walked out with 800. So that
Sometimes, sometimes God is looking down on you.
yeah, man, it was a good 2.5 hours on that table. It really softens the blow of this fantasy week that I had. I was in the championship, and I'll sprinkle in like in all these games. The teams that I played, or the players that I had, and the ones that I went against really spread out through most of the slate. So I'll touch on a whole lot of players that did me wrong or did me dirty. So I'll just get it out of the way because we're probably not going to talk very much about it. But I hate Aaron Rodgers again. I hate him again.
He fooled you, he duped you again.
He reeled me in. I don't think I ever mentioned this to you, but Aaron Rodgers came to me in a dream about a year ago.
Okay.
Not in a weird way.
What do you say?
It was a so the dream, the premise of it was this. I'm doing a class in a library, a public library, local
Hmm.
library, teaching
Hmm.
kids, football, the X's and O's. Tell them, all about cover two, cover three, where the holes in the defense are.
Yeah.
In comes a special guest. I didn't know about this. Mr. Aaron Rodgers wearing a beanie, sunglasses,
Classic.
sits down and he talks shop with me. Super cool, nice and calculated. Pulls out an ice house tall boy, starts drinking it in a brown bag. Pulls out a little joint, smokes it in there. I don't think that's allowed in the library, but it happens.
Aaron
Um,
Rodgers, Hall of Famer. He can do what he
to the
wants.
to the kids at home, this is allowed in the state that I'm in.
Correct.
Um, and then randomly he rips out a cello and starts ripping it, just like absolutely like as if it were like a guitar. It's like doom, 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 doom. It was a strange dream, but I thought we found some common ground. But no more. He did me
So
wrong.
because of
I
that, this was last year, so that because of that, you were like, you know what? I hated him his entire time in Green Bay. He came to me in my dreams. Maybe this is this calling, this is the sign. I'm
That's
assuming,
right.
this is me assuming, that you should draft him in your fantasy league.
hmm
So you do. And then how many points did he get you in the championship game? Let's tell the fans at home.
In the championship game, I'm gonna ruin the surprise. I lost by 4.4 points. Aaron Rodgers got me in about 3 quarters of play against the Buffalo Bills. 0.44 points. He threw for, I think it was 111 yards and 2 interceptions. Those 2 interceptions are minus 4 points against the stat line.
So basically, he just left one last middle finger to you
That's right.
on his way out.
That's right.
Hate to hear it. Hate to hear it. And the thing is, I hate to hear that, then have to ask you about the Bears. Like I hate that
Mm.
that's the trajectory, but I have to ask you, to Bill, how are your
Honestly,
Bears?
honestly, the fantasy loss was a lot harder than the real Bears loss. I don't have a whole lot to say. Um, It was two bad teams going against each other in terrible conditions. I was with my family at Buffalo Wild Wings. Halftime hit, and I was like, I don't want to be here.
What wings did you have?
I had
Did
over
that even help?
it. No, it didn't. The wings were whack. The service was kind of whack. Buffalo Wild Wings in Warrenville.
No,
I
not
don't.
the OG one. Not the OG one.
Yeah, man. I don't like to put down other like service staff. Um,
Facts.
seeing as I still work at a restaurant, unfortunately, it's not cool when the food gets there and we didn't get our drinks. We're just sitting there all parched, and just
That's crazy.
yeah, it hurt. They had a buy one get one deal going with wings, so I got a 10-piece boneless wing that ended up being 20. Um, had them a half wild sauce, which is my signature,
Shout out.
and the other half, what was it? Lemon pepper? I think it was lemon pepper. But surrounded by fellow Bear fans, it was a sad state. They were, cheering for every single first down,
Hmm.
which I can't get behind anymore. It's a sad, and like I don't have that much to say about it because there wasn't really that much action in it.
Hmm.
In a game, there was no touchdowns by either team. The only one that kind of maybe almost happened got called back by a holding on the Bears' offensive line. Great throw by Caleb Williams. Um, I mean, it's soulless. Cole Kmet once again got zero targets, zero receptions. Somebody that's supposed to be such a focal point of our offense is being criminally underutilized. That offensive line again, just letting down every aspect of the offense. Um, Geno Smith had a lot of time to work with, and he didn't really take very good advantage of that. Um, yeah, man, it's the Bears suck. Thomas Brown obviously got put in a really tough situation, and I'm not going to fault him at all for what was given to him. He said himself he knew what he was walking into when he got handed the reins.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know what Ben Johnson would do to really fix this. I don't know what Mike Vrabel would do to fix this. It's tough seeing like this team was supposed to be at the very bare minimum where it was last year with 7 wins,
Yeah.
and it feels like we're a year -1 of a rebuild. So I'm confused. I'm broken. I'm mangled. I'm ready for the season to be over. Um, being a sports fan for the city that we're from is not easy right now. The Bears suck. The Bulls suck. They beat the Celtics, which is nice, but the Celtics also not great. The Blackhawks suck, which I don't really care about. I tune out hockey pretty easily. And if I can do a super quick tangent about the Cubs are unloading so many players off of like the books or whatever to clear up so much cap space. They've hit the break glass in case of emergency because the fans are starting to like realize like what are we doing? They're bringing Sammy Sosa back. And those sons of guns. It's been 20 plus years since Sammy Sosa's been welcomed back because he walked out on the team the last game of the season in 2004, which led to him getting traded. He was on bad terms with the team. Really
What
weird
do
that the
you
new owners kind
what
of
do you
held that
mean?
grudge against him
What do
because
you mean they're bringing him back? Like in what capacity?
so basically there was that whole controversy with steroids, right?
Yeah.
And the owners, they've been hearing about it for years and years, like, oh, why isn't Sammy Sosa coming back? These new owners are saying like, oh, as if he comes clean about what he did, like, yeah, we'll be open to it, but until then, like, we're not doing that. And Sammy has never been caught for steroids, so if exactly
Left
if
unfit.
if there is a positive test somewhere out there, please show it to me, and I will admit that this man did steroids. Until then, in 20 plus years, nothing has ever come out. And so it's kind of been a stalemate for that entire time. Sammy Sosa came out with a statement a couple weeks ago saying like, oh, like I did what I did to be competitive and like maybe made some mistakes. It was basically a whole bunch of like nothing that he said. And then the Cubs immediately within an hour like, we're happy to welcome Sammy back to Cubs Country. So break glass in case of emergency. Let's get the fans back on board. And those sons of guns, they got me back on board.
Yeah,
They
I
got
mean,
me.
you get Sammy back in the pinstripe white and blue. I mean, what else could you ask for?
But that's also like that's the most exciting part about this city right now. It's like this man's coming back to the convention. Like the teams just suck. The product on the field or on the court, whatever, between the lines,
Yeah.
it all sucks. So That's all I got. I'm ready to get
I
our butts kicked up in Green Bay and send it home.
I hate that we've been banging the same drum for the last few weeks. Like it was so clear that you guys needed an offensive line, and I'm going to transition us a little bit, at least throughout the conversation, as the games we talk about draft order. As of right now, I'm looking up on USA Today. The Chicago Bears sit at ninth in the
Yes.
draft. It's looking like the three out of the four positions that the draft they're looking to draft. USA Today Sports says Will Campbell Jr.,
Hmm.
offensive tackle out of LSU.
That's right.
Josh Conley Jr., offensive tackle out of Oregon. That's by the Draft Network. And then CBS Sports has you guys getting Will Campbell as well, O tackle out of LSU. NJ.com, I don't know who that is. Malachi Starks, safety from Georgia. So I don't know if you guys go defense with that ninth overall pick. If you guys remain at nine, I think you guys definitely go offensive line,
I
whether it's a
agree.
guard or a tackle. You guys need to sure. I honestly, I think round one and two, you guys need to be going guard, maybe tackle, guard tackle, like a swing tackle, maybe. Like it just can't be. It can't be what you guys are doing.
I
Um,
yeah, I think they go like interior offensive line. The guards are really where Caleb's seeing most of the pressure coming right in
yeah,
his, ooh, approaching him right up the middle, I should say.
yeah. What's had you? I was got you.
Apologies for those listening at home.
You caught
The
yourself. You caught
the
yourself.
tackles are okay. Darnell Wright's
Yeah.
playing not too bad. Braxton Jones is having an okay season. I think he got hurt the other game.
Hmm.
But the interior is where Ryan Poles brought in those new faces. Ryan Bates. There's like a third stringer on there. Karan, I think it is. Um, yeah, it's a bunch of practice squad players, and it's just not working out. So Will
Yeah.
Campbell's the big name that I keep hearing as well. I don't think any offensive linemen are slated to go before the Bears in that order. None of the teams that are
Yeah.
drafting before them are really like on the lookout for that. So I think they're in a good position to get that
You're right. No, yeah,
division lead.
I think you end up getting the number one player in the draft, the number
Mhm.
one offensive line player in the draft, which is great at the ninth position. Seeing that in years past, I mean, you get an elite tackle, usually that's going top three if you have
Yes.
someone really, really good coming out. So the fact that there's so many receiver slash corner, excuse me, receiver slash quarterback heavy teams at the top of this draft, as it sits right now, it's very good for your guys' odds. And you said you have Green Bay coming towards the end of the season. Green Bay has not clinched, or they have clinched?
They've
Because if
clinched a
they,
playoff spot. It's all about seeding, so they
okay,
will be playing for
they
something.
will be playing. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, as long as they are going to be playing their starters, that's a very, very good sign for you guys. Moving into my Eagles, we're not playing for anything this week. Uh, Jalen coming off of that concussion the week prior, no flag on that, but if that was any other quarterback, they would have been flagged, whatever. Was upset to see uh, and then had to watch Kenny Two Gloves go out there against the Commanders, and so the buddy I'm watching, his dog Will, loves to say, "Oh, Jaden did this against the number one ranked defense. Jaden did this." Yeah, well, the best, and as someone that has played quarterback at a very poor level, a very bad level, um, the best defense is a strong offensive run game and or just strong offense. And yes, we do have the number one rushing offense, but when you take Jalen out, that DN does not have to respect the quarterback read. And so he's just running down, screaming down the line and tackling Saquon in the backfield. It ended up making our offense one dimensional. And then at that point, yes, Kenny Two Gloves gets, I think at that point we had four more turnovers that he was a part of that game, got 3 points that he got to capitalize off of in that Eagles Commanders game. Uh, so having a full week of Kenny starting in practice obviously came out and helped him with the complete dismantling of the Cowboys. I love that for us. Michael Parsons played. Bland, one of the corner that 2 years ago led the league in picks, played. Um, they had a lot of the starters out there, and we rolled them boys. Um, I love that. Love to see it. Love to see Tanner McKee get in there, get a touchdown to AJ Brown, our third string quarterback. I mean, we're really just saying, you know what? You get a touchdown, you get a touchdown, you get a touchdown. Uh, I don't think that is an indictment on our on Jalen. Us blowing out the Cowboys. I don't think the Cowboys have anything to play for. And in the past, we've seen Cowboys players that bottle blonde when their season is out of reach. Like the
Crazy.
Cowboys players don't care, bro. If
Mhm.
they're not in it, they don't care. Um, so I think it's more an indictment that the Cowboys need a full. I would say they need a full reset, but it's damn near close because they have a few pieces on defense. They obviously have pieces on offense with CD. I don't know what you do with Dak at this point with just signing him to that deal before the day before the season started or the day of the season started. I don't know what you do with that.
Mhm.
Um, it's kind of almost like now with the Falcons having Kirk Cousins, what do? You just
I
you
think
got
what I
cut
saw is
bait.
I think they're gonna cut
Yeah, you cut bait
Cousins, and
before
so
March something. Yeah, to
yeah, maybe
save
something with Dak. Like they'll look at the contract and see like if they cut him at the end of this year, maybe the end of next year,
probably
and
the next year. Yeah.
then maybe with the Cowboys also like what do you do with Mike McCarthy? Is he done?
Yeah. I after getting blown out the way he did, I'm surprised he didn't get fired on Monday, to be honest. I'm surprised Jerry watched that and was just like, okay, like division, like in division rival that you guys were coming into this saying the season saying we are going to the Super Bowl.
Mhm.
Every year I know they say that, but like they reloaded, had everything there that they needed, and fell completely on their faces.
Mhm.
So I mean, I don't know what you do about that. I love living in Dallas. I appreciate the weather. I appreciate the hospitality. I love the food. I love that you guys suck. It just makes it wearing my green feel even better. Let me transition into sitting to my guy Saquon. I watch the Hard Knocks
Mhm.
faithfully, year in
As
and
you
year
better.
out.
Mhm.
This is the first year that they did the Hard Knocks offseason edition. We have a buddy. I won't blow his spot up just because I don't want to say anything that might then get him in trouble later on the pod. But we have a buddy that works for the Giants, really cool guy. Um, and so I was tuned in, excited to see my guy, as well as to see behind the scenes more of the NFL. As we're ex-athletes, we're out of the sport. It's always good to be able to get a little feeling of it still. And I feel like Hard Knocks does a good job of giving that feeling to the fans. Joe Shane, you're an idiot. Point blank, you're an idiot.
It's tough
Um,
look.
Tough look to be on 1080p. Is that the cameras they use, Bill?
That at the very bare minimum, everybody's at least seeing it on 1080p.
1080p for everyone in the in the country to see. And the HBO, those live forever. You can go back right now and see the 2000 Ravens Hard Knocks. That is going to live in infamy, my guy. Of you, of two things: your son telling you who to draft, and you drafted the wrong person, as well as you straight up saying it was not worth Saquon getting the deal that he got from the Eagles. Your owner, Mr. Mara, told you how upsetting this was going to be to see him go to Philly. He is now Saquon 2K. Saquon 2K. Okay. That I don't think you understand. CJ 2K. Terrell Davis 2K. Like once you get that 2K behind your name, that is forever there. Let alone the Eagles just announced an hour ago the all black jerseys at home against the Giants to end the season 100, I think just over 100 yards away from Saquon 2K able to go for the rushing record that has not been topped in 40 years. Joe Shane, you're an idiot. So that's that on Saquon. Shout out to Saquon. We love you, baby. Can't wait. to see you. Hopefully, we go for it. If you don't, I totally understand. Get
Hmm.
them boys ready and rest up to go for what we're really looking for, which is that Super Bowl trophy.
Is that a an afternoon like 3 o'clock kickoff for the Eagles? 1 o'clock? Ah,
1 o'clock
those
Eastern.
nighttime with those black jerseys, it's all
Oh,
over.
oh
It's
yeah.
all over.
We would have been.
Daytime, still
Oh, yeah.
probably, but nighttime, it's over.
If that was a 7:20 game, Eagles fans would not allow Nick Sirianni to not play the starters for at least the first half.
Yeah.
If that was a midnight or a 7 o'clock game.
No, the nighttime all black jerseys, like taking the Eagles minus 21 is like
Yeah. And the
there's
thing
just
is,
something about it's like one of those aura things, you know what I mean? Like you
yeah,
walk into the link and see the Eagles, like the fans are going crazy. It's over.
you got Meek Mill in the background playing. Ooh, ooh, got a little Uzi going. Ooh, yeah. No, it would have been up. It would have been
Yeah.
up. And I support whatever decision they want to do. With that, Saquon has come out and said he supports any decision that they want to do. So I'm not really tripping one way or the other. If he gets it, sweet. If he doesn't, the O line came out and said that their main goal was being able to see 2,000 for him, and they got that with I think it was 50 something carries to go. So everyone out there that's saying, well, Eric Dickerson did it in 16 games, shut the up. Oh, I'm sorry, kids at home. That's my one my one curse of every pod.
Everybody gets
Um, please be quiet because he did it in 50 less carries, and that's what matters. Okay. So let's just dispel all of that. Um, but we'll see what happens. Moving on, next on our stat list, we have the Chiefs roll the Steelers. Willie, what were you saying?
Man, I have a gripe about this game being on Christmas Day. Because Russell Wilson was on my bench for fantasy. He got 17 points compared to Aaron Rodgers' point 4. I lost by 4 points. There's so much stuff going on for Christmas. Everybody's, like stuff's moving around with the family. Like we're setting up for dinner or whatever, we're making tamales. We're driving out to, wherever we're going. How am I supposed to look at the lineup? How am I
Can't.
supposed to know Chris Jones wasn't going to play? Some might say a good fantasy
Oh,
owner would look, but come on, man. On a Wednesday,
you're a family man first.
I
You care about
am.
the fan first.
I am. That's where the real value is.
Yeah.
Forget the $1,000. Anyways,
It was a dismantling of the Steelers.
it was. I don't think the final score was indicative of
I
how
agree.
lopsided this game was.
Yeah.
I think it was something around like 22-10 was the final score, right around that area. The Chiefs are just inevitable. Don't have too much to say about it. Yeah, on
15-1.
15-1, which is crazy. Do you think they?
Coming off of two Super Bowl wins.
Mhm.
I don't understand because like when they talked about that for the NBA, right? Obviously, they play a lot more games, but Steph, LeBron, all those years back, like 20, what was 14, 15, 16, 17, they talked about like getting fatigued from going back to back to back, playing that many games. Now, football's a violent sport. So, yes, it's not as many games, but you're in a car crash every Sunday.
Right.
Um, and especially now with how many short weeks, like Steelers playing on a Wednesday, that's a super short week. And so, uh, I just don't understand even just the mental battle of playing all these games that necessarily don't mean anything when you've played in such big moments in the playoffs. I don't understand how Andy gets them boys up at week in and week out, gets those boys up to play.
Well, who wouldn't want to play for Big Red, man?
True. And he's slimming down a little bit as he gets older.
He's still eating good though.
Yeah,
He's
he
getting
is.
cheeseburgers and rellenos.
After every win, he says he gets a cheeseburger.
Yeah.
15 of them boys this year.
I love how he showed up in the Santa Claus outfit too.
Yeah, yeah,
It just seems like a great culture guy, great person to show up and work for, which is
yeah.
what must be nice.
Must
Must be
must
nice.
be must be. I'm happy that we bounced back with Nick Sirianni. Chip Kelly's freaking sucked, but happy to have Nick. Wish Andy just was allowed the one bad season that he had, and I know that he would have had his bouncing back. We probably would have ended up drafting Pat. So it's frustrating that we lost him, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Uh, Staying in the AFC. We have the Ravens destroy the Texans. Uh,
Yep.
the game, CJ Stroud put it on a dot.
Sophomore slump.
Yeah, but he had a couple good passes, and it's hard to bounce back mentally after you see your best friend get hurt the way he did.
That's true.
What were your thoughts? Did you see that live?
I did not see that live. I know
Okay.
the ambulance came out.
Yeah.
TJ Stroud was crying,
Yeah.
which
It was, bro.
I
I
don't.
saw it. I saw it live. But go ahead. Tell me your thoughts.
Big day for the masculine group of Twitter users to come out and be like, "Oh, I would never do this." Shut up, dude.
Yeah.
It's a serious thing. It's like,
Yep.
that man's livelihood,
Yep.
his ability, his skill set to make money
Yep.
at that point of his life. Like it's such a short career in the
Yep.
NFL, and like to have this type of stuff derail a good thing they have going on. It's sad. Just in that like aspect, and like not even including like the personal part of it. CJ Stroud's best friend
Yep.
got hurt. Um, Knowing that this is probably going to seriously derail his career trajectory. Possibly, he might be out for all of next season too. It's tough. Um, so I definitely feel for CJ Stroud. I feel for all the Texans. Um, major shot at their team.
Yep.
And then you saw it play out in real time against the Ravens, which obviously great defense. The only points to their name was a safety. Um, so it was tough. But one thing that kept me in my fantasy games, Nico Collins got subdued. So I thought I had a chance after that.
You would
That's
really think that as well. But I mean, I guess the way that they get to roll their coverage with Tank being out, they get to roll it completely to Nico at that point. So yeah, I mean that completely hurts you as well, missing that. Um, I watched that game live
Mhm.
in real time. I literally said, I turned to Victoria and I said, "Oh, he's done. Like hit like that. That's over with. Like that. His knee is messed up completely bad." And they were like, What?" Because it was from the back view that we saw it initially. When the camera like pans over to it, and it made me squeamish a little bit. And to your point, man, like Twitter was disgusting. These overly masculine dudes wanting to flex and say all this, and that. Dog, you've never gone to war with your buddies, and like you said, uh, it doesn't feel good to watch anyone get hurt, that especially when you care about them. Dog, I remember Tommy E against South Elgin at home senior year, winning the game, they kick an onside kick. Tommy E catches it off the bounce from on the hands team. Luke jumps on top of him, and their players are like ripping for the ball, ripping at Tommy's face mask, like punching him, all this stuff. I almost got ejected from that because I started pushing and like fighting against their players to make sure that Tommy kept it. Tommy came up crying. That made me emotional, made me sad seeing him like that. Obviously, I didn't cry because he wasn't super injured, but he was physically in tears because of what they did to him at the bottom of that scrum. So, let alone that, and Tommy's not hurt. Now, imagine watching your best friend that he told the Texans to go get and draft because he liked his game at the combine
Mhm.
and had been watching, keeping eyes on him because I think Tank went to Houston, University of Houston, I think, somewhere in the South. And everyone knows where with the Ohio State career um, that he had as a quarterback. But um, to watch him from afar and say, "No, actually, I love your game. I want us to go draft you," and then to really love each other, become boys, and all that. Getting hurt last year, I think he tore his ACL. Then to come back, still having a great year, and then this to happen? Nah, come on. Because, like you said, Bill, that is basically saying your career is not. You're not going to have the same cut, juice, energy. You can't. He tore his ACL. I want to say it was also either LCL or MCL, as well as a dislocated kneecap. His
Mhm.
kneecap was over here when his leg was right here. Like, what do you expect from somebody?
Yeah.
So yeah, you overly masculine dudes are weirdos. Um, I support men in all their emotions and being able to show those. Uh, tough look for Tank. Hate to see it, man. Hope you come back well. Got prayers up for you. it sounds like Houston's going to do right by you and at least keep you around. And on top of that, rookie deals, especially people that aren't in the first or second round, aren't great.
Yeah.
So it's all about, they always say, getting to that second and third contract. If he doesn't get to a second or third contract, like he'll never have a time in his life where he's ever able to make this amount of money ever again.
Right.
It's not guaranteed. And so you work your entire life to this point to be able to have the opportunity to even just lace him up and to have your knee get blown out like that, especially from your own teammate, which is not your fault. You're going for the ball. Whew. Could not imagine. Could not imagine.
Tough. Well, move on to some other games on a slightly lighter note. Running a little low on time, but we can blaze through a few of these.
Yeah.
Buccaneers absolutely destroyed the Panthers. I went against Baker Mayfield in fantasy. He ripped me for 35 points.
Dang.
Not much you can do. I also had Mike Evans, so he got me almost 30 points.
Yeah.
Kind of offset it.
Offset. Yeah.
That's all I got. I also went against Bucky Irving, who was a beast. Will definitely be on my watch list for next season. I think he'll do
Smart pickup.
well.
Yeah. Smart pickup.
Um,
I don't
any
have any comments on no. Bucks suck. Panthers suck. If the Bucks make it in somehow, I hope at somewhere down the line we get to play them because they beat us last year in the playoffs when AJ Brown was out. We had some other injuries on our team, so hopefully we get to play them. If not, the NFC South this year sucked. I watched so many games because of the Saints
Mhm.
and Victoria, that being her team. It it's whatever to me. Uh, Now this next game that we're about to talk about, huge implications for the draft order.
Mhm.
What do you think about Drew Lock and his last minute heroics?
Oh, I'm such a big fan. I think a few weeks ago when Tommy DeVito got announced as the QB1,
Yeah,
the media went up to Drew Lock and he said something along the lines of, "Well, when I signed here, they told me I was going to be QB2, so I don't know what's going on." So him to be able to shine in this performance is
yeah,
awesome. Awesome revenge on the
the
Giants
franchise.
franchise. Yeah,
Yeah,
don't like, oh, you didn't want me here. This is what I could have given you, and that's
yeah,
great. I
yeah.
love a good redemption story like that. So shout
That
out Drew Lock.
shout out to Drew Lock. Yeah, I mean, I don't like that he beat us last year when he was up in Seattle. It made us absolutely look foolish on that last minute drive. Threw a bomb to Smith and Jigba over James slow hit Bradbury for a game winner. Made us look foolish, but I mean, yeah, in the division rival, setting my division rival back. I love to see it.
Love to
Appreciate you,
see.
Drew. Yeah. And the homie that we had aforementioned earlier did come out and say that Malik Neighbors was wide receiver one coming out of the draft. Um, I love Marvin Harrison Jr.'s game, and I loved watching his dad. So that's why I think me, as well as most of the country and analysts, were enamored by Marvin Harrison. And he just looks so pro ready coming in as a freshman. Malik Neighbors is attitude, grit, personality, type of, and that's the way in which the Giants talked about him in the Hard Knocks. He's a dog. They talked about him like that, and we're all getting to see it in real time. Uh, you're getting yeah, Danny Jones, Danny Dimes, yeah, another Danny DeVito or whatever the Italian dude, their second, third, fourth string. And then you got Drew Lock throwing you the ball, and you're still putting 1,000 yard season up.
Mhm.
Bravo, Malik. Bravo. Um,
Good for him. He's thick too.
yeah.
Tough to bring
Really,
down.
I think all those. I don't know what they're feeding. It must be that gumbo down at LSU because Jamar Chase ain't easy to bring down. Justin Jefferson's skinnier, he's quicker, but still hard to bring down. Like Malik, hard to bring down. I don't know what they're feeding them boys down there, man. That gumbo.
I should have
It's
gone to
good.
LSU.
You
Imagine
would have
me
cake.
all thick.
I think the tamales are good enough for you. I think the tamales are good enough for you.
I'd be coming out of there looking like Shaq.
um, Another division rival for me, the Commanders. Um, Shane Daniels definitely has the Rookie of the Year all lined up. Um,
He does. He
It
solidified
really,
it then and there.
yeah, he did. And I said he was going to be quarterback two behind Caleb Williams coming out of draft. I think I mentioned that on last week's pod. Um, you have a note on here saying good team. I don't know, man. I don't know. Um, I know that you saw a Hail Mary last play of the game, touchdown against your Bears, and
Which,
since then you guys have lost every week
mhm.
since then. But like they've been in way too many close. Like, when's the last time you saw a Commanders game? They're just like, okay, they're just a better team. They won like clearly, like how we just dismantled the Cowboys. When's the last time you saw them?
I can't think of one off the top of my head. They're usually in pretty close games and like kind of play up to the level of their opponents,
Or
but
play down?
or play down. You're right.
Yeah. And so that's a nervous part of it. Um, I remember last year with the Eagles, the run we went on. I didn't feel like obviously a win is a win, and I say that all the time as well for my team. So I'm not going to now flip it. I'm just giving a little bit more clarity of saying when I was going through those wins and we were super frustrated the entire game, but then at the last 30 seconds we'd pull it out. It's still not a great feeling because it's like, hey, can we just get a week where we blow somebody out and know that we're the better team on the field? Playing down is hard. And then so I had a couple notes on here if you don't mind me going through, Bill.
Hmm.
The time management by, and he's a rookie head coach, so I'm not going to get on him too hard down there in Atlanta, had two timeouts with 54 seconds left on the clock. Penix completes a pass at the 45-yard line. I went and watched it again this morning to make sure that I had everything correct.
Hmm.
Completes a pass at the 45, no timeout. Wasted 25 seconds, 20 to 25 seconds. Then takes a timeout after the next play. I think at that point there was sub 10 seconds on the clock. And they still had one more timeout at that point. But now you have not enough time to even really use that one timeout because you still needed to get into field goal. It didn't make sense.
Yeah.
And so then you go into overtime with an offense you haven't really stopped all night. Jaden Daniels takes the ball, goes down the field, scores when this game's over. That was a game that if Atlanta had won, you're in the controlling seat for the division.
Hmm.
Why are you not going for two at the end of that game in regulation? Why would you ever allow, or not just go, okay, not just going for two, but when you get the ball back with 54 seconds, why aren't you playing your game management correct? But even the drive before that, when you score and you made it 24-24, why didn't you go for two? Why did you even allow them to get the ball back with a minute and something? I think the Commanders only had one timeout. So the Commanders had a chance to drive down and get a field goal and win it in regulation. But it just doesn't. The last two drives of the Falcons were, I don't know, just not smart. And they say that that's what head coaches are actually now really needed for. It's more game management, and they really shouldn't be unless you have an elite level play caller like Andy back in the day or Ben Johnson, or I mean, you don't even see.
All right. Apologies for the technical difficulties. I have the very basic version of Zoom, so cut me off at 40 minutes. But we were talking about the coaching decisions at the end of the game for Atlanta versus Washington.
Mhm.
Peyton, do you want to continue on about
Yeah,
Raheem Morris?
it just doesn't, and that's not an indictment. I think Raheem has done a great job with
Hmm.
that team, especially with kind of navigating what their general manager did to him with getting two quarterbacks, um, and not getting more help for either Penix or Kirk early in that draft, like an elite level talent when you have a top 10 pick. Um, so yeah, I think Raheem Morris has done a great job. It just, and I think that's where I was trying to get to of saying that coaching, the head coach position is getting turned more now to game management, game situational football versus being the all-time play caller or anything like that. It used to be in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, the 2010s, where the head coach most likely was either your defensive coordinator or your offensive coordinator, and they called the plays. It's still, for the majority, is like that. But
Hmm.
a lot of coaching is starting to, the top teams you're seeing that not be the trend anymore. They're taking the timeouts at the right spot. Like I can't remember the last time the Eagles, the Chiefs, the Bills, The Ravens have made the Steelers have made blunders in terms of situational football, especially when it comes to talking about timeouts. I heard a thing on Pat McAfee show with Bill Belichick talking about Tom Brady and saying Tom said to Bill all throughout those years, I'd rather have the time, screw the timeouts. I'll play with more time if I don't have as many timeouts. If that was his way of thinking about it. And obviously you have to have that conversation with the quarterback and your staff, but it just felt like, damn, like why are you guys it was so clear because after the completion that they had to the 45, it even will just take you 5 seconds to jog up the field to get lined up and snapped again. With
Yeah.
having less than 50 seconds, the play already took 10. That's 5 seconds just to jog up, another five to maybe look at your read. Like
Mhm.
that again, that's 20 seconds and waste to call. You have two timeouts, call it.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. Like, and watching it as a fan that wants Atlanta to beat them so that the Falcon or so the Commanders can have a harder road. Like, I wanted to see them lose.
Hmm.
The Commanders still would have probably made the playoffs. I think they were either locked up or they were going to win this week as well. They're playing the Cowboys this week, but
It's over.
yeah, it just didn't make sense to me. Um,
Yeah.
but it is what it is.
It is what it is. Zach Ertz did me right in that game,
You had
fantasy
him.
wise. 2 touchdowns.
Yep.
Terry McLaurin, 1 catch for 5 yards. I also had him starting. Not great. Honestly, that's one of my two big mistakes. I'll start Terry McLaurin 100 times out of 100. I trust that guy as the wide receiver one for that team. I believe their wide receiver two is Zacchaeus, I believe was
Yeah.
his last name. He got all the targets.
Zacchaeus Olamide. He came from the Eagles. He
Yeah.
actually is from Philly as well.
Oh, it's sick.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I don't regret starting him as much as I regret Aaron freaking Rodgers.
That one hurts.
That one hurts a lot, but um, at least made it for an exciting watch in the Denver airport.
Yeah.
I was on my way back over to LA and stepped out in Denver for a little bit.
How,
So that was fun.
how do you I know this is a conspiracy pod, but you think they got anything under there?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. It's it's an insidious feeling airport.
Yeah.
It's weird how like so I took the train that stops like right in front of the hotel by the airport
Mhm.
into the city. It's like a 35-minute ride. $10 both ways, which was a good deal. Like I'm not gonna sit around in an airport if I don't have to. Um, you might win $700 if you leave the airport. So went out to Denver, just walked around a little bit, got a meal at Kava. I don't know if there's Kava down in Dallas. It's
We
nice,
have
nice
one.
and healthy. It's like Chipotle style, but healthy.
Yep. Yep.
Love it. Got some food there. Sat down at a bar in Denver. Had a nice time. It was I guess lonely, but that's fine. I'm so used to being around friends, so now anytime I'm not, it's just lonely. Um, but yeah, dude, just going back to that airport, it's super weird how everybody like goes through TSA at the same time.
Hmm.
Um, that huge Bronco statue up front with the glowing red eyes is
Hmm.
creepy as hell.
It's
Um,
ominous.
there's all those conspiracy theories about, the top 1% of the 1% have bunkers underneath. I
Yep.
buy it. I regret not asking employees about it. I have no issue with making people uncomfortable with my questions. And I'm sure I'm not the first to have asked them about it. Um,
True.
surely they have cameras on them and, the place is bugged. So
Hot mic'd. Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, I don't love being in that airport. I feel like there's something fishy going on about it.
Weird
Um,
feeling for sure.
the runways, if you see it from an aerial view, I'm not going to say on the pod what it looks like, but if you go on Google Maps and look down on it, some doesn't sit right about it. I don't like how it looks. And there's some really interesting looking murals depicting the bad guys from
Mm.
World War II,
Mm.
which I
I
will
just look.
also
I
keep
just
off
looked
of
it. Yeah, I just looked it up. I
our
didn't know that.
transcripts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, 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 okay, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
All the kids at home right now, look this up on YouTube. Denver Airport, and it'll just like automatically fill in conspiracies.
Yeah, yeah,
I was
yeah.
happy to get out of there safe and sound.
I'm happy to have you home, Bill.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. I was happy to
Uh.
touch down in LA where the only conspiracy is what the heck. That's it. That's it. Why aren't there like five more lanes on these freeways?
Yeah. Um, so then just rounding out the last game.
Oh.
Yep. I'm sorry, Bill. I'll let you take this one away. Go ahead.
So we had the Niners, a lost season for them,
Yep.
and the Detroit Lions,
Yep.
who are having the best season in their franchise history, and
Hmm.
rightfully so. They earned it. Um, Probably the most exciting offense that I've seen in a while.
Hmm.
Seeing a team like Detroit play football makes me wonder what the Bears are even doing because it doesn't look like the same sport. The way that they move the ball so fluidly, the way they convert on third and long, the way they can do a hook and ladder in the middle of a game that nobody sees coming.
Yep.
Um,
That was amazing.
that was great. That was awesome. I would have loved for them to kick a field goal and give me 5 points because I have the Detroit Lions kicker.
Hmm.
Um, would have won me the game there, but whatever. Um, yeah, dude, the Niners are a bummer because they have so much potential. Like they put up all those points. But Brock Purdy was overthrowing, throwing picks left and right. Well, only 2 picks, but
Still a lot.
um, there was the first touchdown that they scored where Brock Purdy ran it in. George Kittle was my tight end. He was wide open,
Wide open.
wide open, and he decided to throw it to run it in himself, which
I
is
don't like
selfish.
the I don't like the 49ers, but the play looked kind of sick. Like that definitely goes on a highlight reel.
Hmm.
Unfortunately for you.
Tough. Um, then end of the game, they brought Josh Dobbs in because Brock Purdy, I think, hurt his elbow or something like that. He fell awkwardly on a sack where they had to take one of their timeouts.
Hmm.
Trying to, fight back from, I think it was a 12-point deficit. Um, Josh Dobbs, quick guy. I don't blame him for running, but could have tried something for George Kittle. Could have tried to get him some points. George Kittle needs some love too. And so did I.
For the fans at home, Bill came home with $100 from the league, being in second place. Could have had 1,000. So I understand the frustration. However, as you mentioned earlier, did win 800 at the casino. He's really only down about 200.
That's true.
That is a successful week. That's a great still end of a 2024 year.
I turned it into a PS5. Picked it up yesterday,
Did
hooked
you
it up.
really?
I did. I'm on
How's it
Fortnite.
feel?
I won two out of my first three battle royales.
We're gonna have to hit the battle bus together.
Let's do it. I'm down. Do people just suck on there or am I just like playing with the beginners because I just started?
They added AIs into Fortnite. So if you're just playing regular like battle royale, there's actual like robots that are in the game that are not real people.
Let's see.
You have to play the ranked modes.
Okay. I'll look into it. But it's exciting.
Um, let's before we hop off, go over the playoff seating.
Mhm.
I'll look it up for the people.
'Cause I know for NFC, there's still a lot to kind of shake out. There's going to be a showdown for the NFC North next week.
Yep.
I
Yep.
believe that's a Sunday night game between Detroit and Minnesota.
Yep. They
I
flexed it.
believe it's in Detroit. I don't think the home field advantage does too much for Detroit. They play just as good away as at home. I think they were perfect on the road this season.
Hmm.
So
So we have right now sitting NFL.com and we'll go AFC first. Chiefs at the 1 seed sitting at 15-1. Bills sitting at the 2 seed at 13-3. And then you have the Ravens at the 3 seed at 11-5. They're the first in AFC North.
mhm.
Texans at the 4 seed at 9-7, first AFC South. Steelers at 5 at the second in the AFC North at 10-6. And then you have the Chargers 10-6 at the second in the AFC West. Um, you have the Lions, the 1 seed at 14-2.
Hmm.
You have the Eagles at 13-3. I don't think this is updated because it's still showing that we're reversing the Cowboys for week 17, but that's okay.
Yeah,
It's still the same seedings.
it
The
is. Yeah.
Rams at 10-6, first NFC West for the 3 seed. And then this is why. Okay. And then you have the Vikings as of right now, the 14 and 2 at the 5 seed.
The first round.
Commanders, yep. And then the Commanders at the 6 seed, 11 and 5, second in the NFC East, and then you have the Packers at the 7 seed.
Hmm.
Um, we as of right now are playing the Packers, and I think that game is already officially locked up on the NFC side. So we
Okay.
will be, no matter what happens between the Packers, um, and whoever they play,
Bears.
they play you. Yeah, no matter if the
Uh,
Bears win or not, does not matter. And then no matter if we lose or win to the Giants, it does not matter. Um, so both teams could potentially sit their players. We're locked in at 2 and 7, 2 and 7 seed, and then I'm excited for that NFC North showdown for the 1 and 5 seed. That's going to be some good football. That's going to be playoff football. That's legit going to be the
it is
first
a
time
playoff
this
game.
this year. It's a playoff
Once a
game.
week
Yeah,
off. Hmm.
yeah. Because you get a bye week. Like you win this game. All right, guys, have a week off. Like they need that.
Hmm.
It's a long season, unlike any other. A lot of hitting. Anytime you can get an extra break. That's honestly another reason to why the Patriots back in the day had all those victories. Same thing now we're seeing with the Chiefs. Being able to lock up that 1 seed and potentially by two, like so the Chiefs are 2 games ahead of the Bills. They essentially locked it up this past week. They could rest for 2 weeks in a row. We wouldn't see them until the divisional round if
Hmm.
the Chiefs want to do that. Like that is such a benefit to have that amount of time. That's like playing for the national championship game in college, being able
Yeah.
to take that much time off before playing each other. I don't think rust will happen with professionals when they don't have to go to college and like go to school.
Right.
Um, I think Pat's gonna be Pat. I think there might be maybe a first drive of rust, but other than that, no, they're gonna come out shooting. So yeah, this is the best time of the year for football. I'm
Hmm.
excited.
Me too, dude. Um, is Jalen Hurts going to be back for the Birds by the
Yeah,
time yeah, you think so?
yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool.
So I mean, most players have been at towards the end of the season have been coming back within the same week of being hurt. So I was surprised that he didn't play against the Cowboys, but I think they were just more of like, hey, if we really lose this game against the Cowboys, we have the horrible Giants at home for week 18. We could still get lock up the 2 seed there. So I think it was more of like, hey, we're gonna rest him for sure against the Cowboys, and if we needed him week 18, okay, we'll put him in. But
Mhm.
we're not even gonna need him week 18. So I would assume that that's why another reason to why I think they're gonna rest everybody because there literally is no reason to put Jalen nor any of the stars out there for us.
Right.
Um, so he'll be back for sure by that point by wild card weekend.
Cool. And for that playoff game, I will be the biggest Eagles fan ever.
We hate the Packers.
Can't say the word I want to use, but yes. To heck with the Packers. To heck with their.
Actually, I think I've talked to you about this. I actually did love the Packers all those years living in Chicago, and I loved Aaron Rodgers for all those years because I hated the. You're an educated Bears fan, yeah. So there was like no need to argue against you. Um, but talking to anyone that doesn't actually know the sport is so frustrating.
Hmm.
And there's a lot of bandwagon fans. All those years the Patriots were good, Bears fans immediately, oh, the Bears suck. So now I'm Patriots fans. Like
No, fandom works.
that's not how fandom works. Yeah. I know that you had your honorary team with the Steelers just because your best friend is a Steelers fan. Uh,
That picture will be going up as soon as the football season starts.
but I do not cheer for other teams once the Eagles are mathematically out. It's still Eagles. And then once the Eagles are out mathematically, the Sixers are on. So I will
Right.
be watching basketball at that point.
Playoffs,
Mhm.
baby.
Yep.
That time of the year.
Yep. One and done.
After the Bears lose, they die a very slow and uncomfortable death. It's great to see Green Bay die a very quick one.
Yeah. I actually wouldn't mind, and now let's say on the pod, Luke, if you're watching, I would love to see him on hopefully next week to
Mhm.
talk Steelers playoff football. I would love to hear uh his opinion and thoughts on what is going to be looking like coming off of a pretty bad loss to the Chiefs.
Mhm.
I would love to hear his thoughts with trying to rally the team around Mike T and the boys going into the postseason.
Let's do it. I'll hit him up. We'll get him on.
Perfect. Perfect.
We'll gather his opinions.
Yeah, we need it.
Cool. And then the only note is I think the Bengals kind of have an outside chance of making it. I think there's like
Yeah.
a crazy scenario. I wouldn't hate it. I like
Dolphins have
chaos.
to Dolphins have to lose, and so do the it's Dolphins. We'll talk about it next pod. We'll be able to recap it better. It's Dolphins and someone else has to lose
Mm,
for them to sneak in, and they have to win. It might be Dolphins and Denver have to lose.
okay.
Actually, it is that. The Denver Broncos have to lose, and so do the Dolphins, and the Bengals will sneak in.
And I think it's also the Broncos have to play the Chiefs, who are probably going to rest their players.
Broncos
I
have to
think it's
win.
yeah.
Or
I think the Broncos are winning in.
yes, excuse me. I was right. Broncos lose, and yes, the Chiefs are resting their players. I don't know though. You got Carson Wentz.
That's true. He's got something to play for.
He got something to play for. He got something for sure to play for. And you got Andy calling some plays up for him.
Hmm.
It's
That,
not
that's
going to be
a
a gimme game. That's not
that's a
going to be a gimme game.
hardcore redheaded community move. Yeah, they're putting that community on their back. So
Yeah.
I could see them, putting all that pride out on the field and just
Playing to
destroying
lose.
whoever's in
Yeah.
front of them. Doesn't matter. Any given
Yeah.
Sunday.
Plus, who? Yeah. I mean, I would like to see the Bengals get in just because I would like to see someone get upset.
Me too.
And it would be like, I mean, because if they get in, they'll be the lowest seed.
So
They'll
we'll
be the
play the
seventh
Bills
seed.
probably.
So they play the Bills. Who knows?
All-time matchup.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Because we haven't seen that yet, have we? We haven't seen
I don't think
Burrow versus Allen. We've just seen Burrow versus Pat and Burrow versus Lamar, but I don't think we've seen Burrow versus Allen.
right.
A
That'd
little
be
white on
cool.
white crime.
I'm down for it. I like chaos.
We will sign out there. Thank you for everyone. Subscribe,
Mhm.
follow Wild Bill at Wild Bill 11
That's right.
on Twitter
At
at P Mitch Smith.
PMitch34
Yep, yep,
on
yep.
Twitter.
Follow the
Peyton, thanks
guys.
again for coming on. I
Always.
appreciate you taking the time and giving me your opinion, giving me your soliloquies and pros on your teams and other teams around the league. Thank you again for everyone that tunes in as well. We'll keep it coming for you. Until next time, appreciate you. And it is over.